Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. It's a bittersweet episode tonight for multiple reasons. Number one, we are reaching the end of season 2. This is the lovely Fleetwood Mac family here. We did 12 episodes together, just like Fleetwood Mac, with a rotating cast. You know, Billy Burnett came and went. Neil Finn came and went. But thank you, Lori, for always being...
You're welcome.
You're Lori, and Nathan, you're Waddy. Thank you. But anyway, thank you to the Patreon subscribers. I appreciate you being part of my Patreon. I am taking the next 4 months off, but I do hope everyone doesn't leave my Patreon because it still costs money to host these podcasts. And we have an exciting season 3 that will start in September, which we will reunite. We'll talk about later what we're going to do. But let's just go around and have everyone talk a little bit. Let's start with Jim. Jim, any thoughts on season 2 or where you sit with Fleetwood Mac right now? You've been with us since the Rock a Little podcast, was it?
No, Wild Heart.
Wild Heart. So you came on during the second
Yes.
one. Awesome.
And what my thoughts on what? The season or
your thoughts on the season? Did you I think if any of us saw Stevie Nicks in this last year, this is a good chance to talk about our experiences. Tell us about
a year ago. We had crappy seats though.
Hey,
so
the tickets are expensive this go round. So
yeah,
I know it. We bought early because I thought they were going to sell out, and we got like on the not the top deck, but the second deck next to like where people coming out in and out with on the steps with their beers and you know background noise and there was like light coming in and it kind of and we couldn't see the video screen, so I mean it was I mean I put my footage on YouTube, but
well, I watched all that footage. I thought that was good
we watched
stuff.
it.
Maybe it sucked to be there. It's fun to watch.
Okay, I tried, but
sorry, Jim, but that was the second con. Didn't you go to 2? You went to 1. That was the festival. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but we went to Bonnaroo the year before.
That's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
Where I got this shirt there.
Cool.
Which one?
Well, Jim, thank you for being on all these discussions. You are missed when you're not here.
Well, that's the thing. I think I missed 3. Just I would write it down wrong, or I would think you were doing it one week and not the other.
Right. Sometimes the dates changed and the headline in the email was the previous date, so it's hard to keep up.
Yes, that's what maybe confused me. The header that would throw me off is it says the Wednesday.
Right.
Okay, Wednesday. Oh no.
Well, next season I will be sensitive to that and make sure that you have the.
You would try to put the exact date and maybe do a second reminder. I don't know. But I mean, I was really good for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden I started messing it up. So I don't know what was going on. It's just bad luck. Just
you have to give out your cell phone number, Jim, because we always wait a while to start for it. We always wait 20 minutes. I know we only waited for
okay
for Stephen, but we always wait for a while. So you should pass out your cell phone number so people can text you and get a hold of you more immediately.
Okay, I'll say it at the when we're done here.
Yeah, do it now. Do it now.
Yeah, put it so everyone that's watching can text you. Okay.
No, the ledge will call me.
Nathan, how are you doing? Tell us about your last year as a Fleetwood Mac fan.
Well, the last year was another good one for the books. I guess. I don't know. I last time I went to a show was when Stevie played up here at Ridgefield, which is just north of Portland a little bit. And it was a big rain. It was really rainy, so it kind of turned into a big you know, if you did your hair before you went, you wished you wouldn't have sort of a situation. But it was a great show. You know, Vanessa Carlton was there. I don't know. What am I supposed to talk about
Did
here,
you walk
Jeremy?
in looking like Wild Heart and you left looking like Street Angel?
Yeah, that's about right.
The Red Rocks tour.
Well, Roland, we missed you. You decided to step out for the McVie and Buckingham solo albums.
Yes, I'm back from my solo career.
You're back from your solo career. How have you
Yes.
been? What's
Yes,
going on?
I'm okay. I've been on board since the Wild Heart the talk we did, and I saw her last year in Toronto, which is cool. It was a full house, and it was a good show.
Cool. And with me since day one, episode one, Belladonna. I call her Lori. No, you're Sharon. See, I'm so tired. I called you Lori. You are freaking Sharon. Because Lori for some of the tours, Sharon was always there. So, Alicia, how are you doing? How was your last year as a Stevie Nicks fan? Fleetwood Mac.
Well, it's been good. Let's see, I saw her in February, the end of February, and then I saw her in Charlotte, October of 22 when she
Okay.
did the amphitheater. So, yeah, kind of trying to see her when I can here.
Yeah, because the time leaves you bolder, and we're getting older too.
Yeah,
So,
we're all getting a little bolder and
Yeah.
older, but the show in February was great. It was a sold out venue. She sang great. The show reminded me of like somebody wanting to tell you all their favorite stories with music. So that was what made it just a fun evening. And I think Stevie realizes at this point most people there are younger, so she feels like she has to give her a couple little pearls of wisdom, and she comes off as kind of your cool aunt that has been everywhere and done everything as she's weaving through, and she still sounds pretty good, all in all. So, I mean,
Yeah, and this tour she did I Sing for the Things. I mean, whoever thought she would ever consider doing that?
and I feel like that's kind of the theme for modern day Stevie tours is, you know, I guess when she did In Your Dreams, she did a lot from that album. Then the 24 Karat Gold tour was centered. But generally, I feel like you kind of get a standard set list from Stevie, and then she'll throw in, you know, the fan
song.
favorite. Because the same thing happened with Fleetwood Mac. He had the, you know, in my mind, it was like the Storms tour or the Beautiful Child tour. I feel like in my mind, this is the I Sing for the Things tour.
Oh,
Which
that's right.
I missed this one. I didn't get to see this one.
Yeah.
well, and that was, I guess, the only bummer I had is that she didn't do I Sing for the Things when I saw her in February.
Oh, she didn't?
Was she dropping songs?
Yeah, she dropped it.
Gosh, I got to see.
She did it, I think, all of last year. And then she did.
Okay,
I would have been so upset if I went to that concert and the one song that I had gone to see, she didn't do.
I would have been screaming for it.
Yeah, I'd have been like,
I would have
refund.
probably pissed some people off because I would have been screaming for it.
But
to look that up.
it is what
But
it
you know,
is.
you don't, often in life, we don't get what we don't ask for, right? So
Right. So, but it was, so evidently that one's been dropped. So,
I think maybe because it was a deep cut that many people didn't know, because you know how when the songs that are popular and famous,
Yes.
people stand up and they sing along, they groove. But then when she did, at least on my show, when she did I Sing for the Things, people sat down. At least they listened.
I feel like as a performer, Stevie struggles. Like she wants every song to be like an Edge of 17. When people get a little lukewarm towards like new material and stuff, she always drops it by the end of the tour, I feel like. a lot of times. Do you
Well,
guys?
and that makes it so difficult, though. I mean, I don't know. I think I feel like the older legacy artists have a tough time, because, like you said, they have like their set hit
Yeah.
songs, and that's
Right.
what they want. But it would be very interesting to look like on Apple Music or Spotify, and what is the top 20 songs? Is it
Right.
all of her hits?
I would imagine
mean-
so.
I mean, look at this. The Say You Will tour. They did "Running Through the Garden" and I think "Destiny Rules," the song. But then that was dropped pretty much very soon, I guess, because people didn't care for it. So they said, let's just do something famous.
Well, yeah, that's all true, but I think Alicia makes a good point, which is that if you do look at the top 20 songs, there's a lot of songs in there that she doesn't play, right?
Talk to
Talk
me.
to Me, Rooms on Fire.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
can't wait.
So,
Well, welcome
So
Nick to the
must be
podcast,
some-
everybody.
hey now.
Hey,
He
So
joined
probably-
us on the last episode, so I guess he would be the Mike Campbell of the group, a new a new addition. Right now, Nick, we're just introducing ourselves and talking about like our last year as a Fleetwood Mac fan, kind of recapping the season. So you have not missed that much.
When was that
Shout out to our regular cast member Stephen Larner, whose idea it was his idea. He's like, you need to do a free for all episode where we just have a discussion. He totally blew it off. He's not even here. So I have to act like a host and come up with some shit to talk about. But we got it. Nick, how was your last year as a Fleetwood Mac fan? Did you see Stevie Nicks?
I did not see Stevie Nicks, unfortunately. I think she might be coming to the area, but I have prioritized some other concerts actually.
Oh,
Where-
Rick Wakeman came recently, so I saw him. I saw Jethro Tull, a few other artists.
Oh, cool. And what area is that? Where are you from? Sorry, Alicia.
That's upstate New York.
so have you seen Buckingham in the last 2-3 years?
I think he played in Ithaca, but for whatever reason, I wasn't able to see that. I'm curious when he'll announce his next tour. He's supposed to have an album in the works. He announced that, I think, early last year, but there hasn't really been any updates since then.
right.
But if he does come within a few hours, then I'll try to make the trek.
I feel
Are
like
you
we all,
near Saratoga Springs?
Yeah, I'm
I've
around
seen
that
her-
area.
Yeah, I've seen her there at SPAC a couple times.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I think they've played,
Oh.
Fleetwood Mac has played there on a
She
couple of
had
times,
comments
including
on
the
that.
Behind the Mask tour back in 1990, but I wasn't alive back then.
oh Lord, how old are you? Do you even want to know?
You could very well know. I was born 1 year after the dance. So I'm
Oh,
26.
Well, we'll see you guys on season 3.
There you have it.
I'm only 27, so I'm just kidding. Listen to this, you guys. I'm gonna be fucking 50 next year, and I know I look good. I'm like
Yeah,
Madonna. I'm like
there you go.
Madonna, bitches. Anyway,
I
all right,
was
back.
thinking-
I don't know if that's the one
Ah!
the first example I would point to, but
I look like Madonna from 2008 when she was 50.
I'll tell you what, I think people are giving her just too hard of a time because one of the things I like to get into on YouTube and a fun rabbit hole to go down is just whatever your, Madonna or Bon Jovi's one I got down recently, which was, Heart Song. So you can go and you can watch the videos from all their tours. And sometimes these people are nice enough to post the
Right.
full 2-hour show. So super fun to watch those. And I watched a couple Madonna ones and I thought it was a pretty good show.
It was
And
great.
it's
It was the best
fun.
night of my life.
Some
I
of
saw
it's
her 2
too
weeks ago.
raunchy for me, but did you see that thing where they were hating on her about, well, she's up in the thing floating around and she's dancing and she can barely, and I think it was during Live to Tell is when she was doing that.
No,
So
it was during Ray of Light, but she's holding on to the bar because she's
Yeah.
floating in air.
Okay, so they were just a little too harsh on her.
Yeah. Well, I did not see Stevie Nicks on this tour. I saw the last tour, which was basically this tour was an extension of that same one, I think. Except she added I
Yeah.
Sing for the Things. What was the song she did on the last tour that was exciting? Wasn't there?
Every tour is an extension of the Wild Heart tour. Every tour is an extension of the Rumors tour, right? Or the Tusk.
Well, that's one way to look at it. We
she
did. I was just
Yes,
gonna say we lost Christy McVie during the course of the season. which was terrible. But it was very nice to revisit her songs on time. And it was so much fun to listen to that album together. Nick, have you listened to the Time album?
Yes, I have.
What
It
are your-
probably ranks among the bottom albums for me, but I still enjoy a few of the tracks. It's primarily McVie's compositions. Trying to think of the songs
Okay.
on there. All Over Again, that's a decent one. I
Yep.
do. That's been on pretty much constant repeat
Oh,
recently. I like that one and Save Me quite a bit. That's
Oh,
on
Save
Behind
Me's
the
great.
Mask. Yeah,
How
it's
do you
a
like the
wonderful
first
song.
track on Time?
Talking to the Heart. It's a
Yep.
good song. I'd probably say it's
Okay,
in the
yeah.
or the top half of the album. I like Blow by Blow. I know that gets a lot of flack, but it's so cheesy that it's good.
aren't her background vocals like blah blah blah? That's all I
It's
remember.
exactly like that. And then These Strange Times is an oddity. I'm not sure if I can really hate it that much because it's so absurd. I think Lucy Fleetwood's vocals are obnoxious on it, but Nick Fleetwood's guitar work is decent, actually. He plays some acoustic on it.
I thought that's Becca doing the.
Well, Becca does the
She does the
ooze.
Faith Have Faith, and then I think Lucy said,
Oh, she did a voice. Yes.
Another
Okay.
thing
I
that
think she's-
happened
yeah.
during the course of this season is we lost Fleetwood's in Maui. It burned down.
Yeah,
because
that
of
was
the
very sad
wildfire,
to
so-
hear.
We can no longer.
That's the first thing I was concerned about. Hearing about a fire in Maui. And Maui has a lot of little towns all around the island.
Right.
And I thought, well, I wonder if Mick's Place is part of this, and it was. I
Well, if you ever want to sit down and have a cup of chowder at Fleetwood's and listen to Chrissy McVie sing, neither of those will ever happen.
that was if we're just fortunate enough to go to Maui, that would have been the place to go.
Well, that brings up, I think, Jim, brings up an interesting question, and maybe everybody it might be a fun would you rather,
Uh-oh.
which is would you rather, if you could, because they're both gone now, but Fleetwood's restaurant or the Blue Fox or whatever that place was that Sharon.
Oh,
Oh, the Blue
Ceylon.
Max.
That was-
The Blue Max.
Yeah, that would be an interesting. Would you rather?
Is the Blue Max
That
where
was-
they had their Mexican dinner when they all met?
yeah, they got.
No,
It
no,
got-
that's where
no.
Stevie met Sharon.
Oh,
Yeah.
He was singing
That's
Poor,
right.
Poor, Pitiful Me.
That was
the place-
that's right next to Fleetwood's.
I'd go to
Or-
Fleetwood's.
They're close. You go to Fleetwood's?
Yep.
I think I'd go to the
I
other
would-
one.
I would teleport back to 79 and whatever it was. It would have been something wild.
Because I bet you I could get out of the blue. I'm sorry, everyone didn't do their would you rather. I bet you I could get out of the Blue Fox with for about
Blue
half as
Max?
much as I could get out of Fleetwood's with. You know what I'm saying in terms of the cost? You're gonna spend some money
Okay.
in Fleetwood's. 'cause
Listen,
he
you know
doesn't-
Mick-
he doesn't miss. a
You know
markup.
Mick has to pay his taxes, so
Now
there's an upcharge on that chowder.
He doesn't
I
miss a
got
markup.
some. I got
That's
some
why he has a coffee
background
company now.
on no, I thought it's a pizza place.
Fleetwood's?
No, the Blue,
Blue Max?
or it could have been.
Yes,
I
Jim,
mean,
you're correct.
Am I correct? It's the pizza.
That's correct.
Like my-
It turned into a pizza place before it was something else. But yeah, Fleetwood's new venture is a coffee thing, right, Roland?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
an
he's
online
doing
coffee. Online
Yeah,
coffee.
he's doing. Everybody is doing their own coffee.
Well, I am not drinking Fleetwood's coffee right now, you guys.
That's the
I'm sorry.
cottage industry.
I'm sorry.
I am.
Okay. So our first item we have 4 items on our agenda tonight. The first thing we're going to talk about is Steve. Where is Steven Larner? Has
Can we
he
just
texted-
let's talk some smack. That's the first thing we need to talk
This
about.
whole
huh?
thing was his idea. I'm trying to host. I'm trying my best. Tomorrow night, I'm doing the Apollonia 6 podcast with special guest Brenda Bennett, who is a member of Apollonia 6. So I'm very excited about that podcast for those that are Prince fans. But tonight, we talk about Fleetwood Mac for the last time in season 2. Recently, Taylor Swift has released an album. The Tortured Poets. What's that?
Department. She's gone
Department.
corporate.
Tortured Poets Department. And inside the sleeve of the album was a poem especially written for Taylor by Stevie Nicks. Has anyone read this poem and do they have a comment on it?
I've got it up here. I read it, kind of browsed through it. I mean, with the Stevie poems, I can read it and get something from it, but it's got to have, her vocal, or even like Marilyn Martin or someone do a sing it with a band. But
give us 8 lines from the poem, Jim. Would you kindly give us some poetry? Give us some tortured poetry.
okay.
Yeah. Dramatic reading, please. Yeah.
Yes, all right. He was in love with her, or at least she thought so. She was brokenhearted, maybe he was too. Neither of them knew. She was way too hot to handle. Ooh. He was way too high to try. He couldn't even see her. He wouldn't open his eyes. She was on her way to the stars. He didn't say goodbye. I mean, it reads like Stevie, personal experience. That's what makes her unique.
But yeah, you're not really giving it any,
No cadence.
any
Nathan-
razzle dazzle.
Oomph.
Nathan,
Yeah.
how about you give us a little bit of the next stanza? Are you
No,
willing?
I'm good. No, I'm good. What I could offer
I
you
was
is
told there's a
style.
lot of razzle dazzle in Portland where you live, so
you're damn right there is.
don't do us
This
dirty.
It's by reading it, it's kind of draws you in. So it has. That's kind of weird. She sent a poem to Taylor and she puts it in the liner notes.
I commented on that with sort of a radio personality who I on Instagram with, and she was listening, having like a little private listening party with the new Swift album, and I asked her what she thought of the Stevie references on it, and she said, "Well, what's better than watching two queens polish each other's crowns?" And I thought that was an interesting way to put it.
Okay.
Is that vaguely sexual? I don't know, but anyway.
It's just hard to judge a poem on its own without music, without any kind of like music, I guess.
I'm not ready to call Taylor Swift a queen yet. No offense if anyone's a Swiftie here. Maybe Princess on her way. I mean, I know her tour sold a lot, but
Can I want to sorry,
She's
Jim.
33. I mean, Stevie was doing her first album at like 33.
yeah.
Or so.
And that's what. And what did Rolling Stone say?
On
What did they
Stevie's
say?
first? I don't.
I think they used the Q word, right? They called her the Queen of Rock, right?
Oh yeah, it's Stevie.
Oh, that was on the cover. Yeah. Okay. I thought
How
they
many
meant the
queens can there
review.
be? Me. Me. But
Only one.
only one. I think Stevie Nicks is a queen. I think Madonna's a queen. That's it.
Of blasphemy.
I guess you're wanting to see if how Taylor's staying power, like given another 20 years or 30 years.
I knew early on that Taylor was like a lifer. She's going to be consumed with what she does here, and she'll be doing stuff towards 70. I mean, like no children, lots of broken parts and stuff, and that's her direction, as far as I can see.
If there's a younger queen in my book, it's Lana Del Rey. I'm a big Del Rey fan.
Oh, she's good.
In fact, I would do a Lana Del Rey Phonogenics series. We already did a couple of her albums. Like when they came out, we did Norman fucking Rockwell and Chemtrails.
Okay,
That beautiful people, beautiful prom song's great.
Her first three records. Yes. Her first 3 records are pretty good. It's kind of an acquired taste. Her it's kind of a lot of very old school, even before I was born. A lot of the textures and a lot of the art, a lot of the the type of music is like from the 50s and 40s, 50s.
Except for the lyrics, though, right?
But the lyrics are very modern hip hop. There's a lot of hip hop textures in her production with old, an old type of vocal and an old, like a Sinatra era type stuff. But
what's that song of hers? My pussy tastes like Pepsi Cola.
Okay, yeah.
No one remembers.
she's got a good half dozen to a dozen very good songs.
Well, my favorite of hers is Young and Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's just a fantastic song.
My favorite is Venice Bitch and West Coast.
Okay.
West Coast is good.
Down on the West.
That's
Nick,
cool.
do you have any thoughts on Taylor Swift? We're going to put you on the spot.
Who?
I really don't have too many
Oh.
thoughts on her. I think she has some decent songs. I was looking at a 538 poll to determine, or I think they pushed it out to determine what fans thought were the most popular albums. And I couldn't tell you which ones they were. Maybe Red was up there. I've
Okay.
listened to a few songs. They're decent. No
Uh,
strong
n-
feelings either way.
Sorry, Nick, do you subscribe to the 538 podcast as well?
I don't subscribe, but I watch on a relatively regular basis.
I feel like Nick's answer was like, did you ever see the Whitney Houston interview in 1990 where they asked her about Mariah Carey? The guy's like, Whitney, what do you think of Mariah Carey? And Whitney's like, what do I think of her? I don't think of her. It was the best ever. All right. Well, any other thoughts on the Taylor Swift poem from Stevie Nicks in her album?
I wish they sung it or they did something to give you some sort of clue, because it's kind of confusing. I mean, he loves her, but he doesn't. I get it. It would make a lot more sense, I guess, if you heard the vocals.
I feel like Stevie thought she was writing Sarah again, but she was really just, it was just another I don't care.
You know, first of all, I don't mind.
Or show them the way.
I don't mind. I don't care personally, but the thing about it is so many of those things that she writes like that. You know, probably about what was this one? 8:52 p.m. or something. The moment no one will ever forget. You know, sort of those late evenings in the condo or whatever. I think those. Yes, anyway, my point is, so many of them actually start out really good, and I get excited when I start reading them. I'm like, oh shit, this is a good one. We got a good. It's a new song here, right? I'm going to send this one. Steven is, there's no way that Dr. Larner is going to find a problem with this one. And then I get a couple stanzas. I don't think she really uses stanzas, but okay, I get, a third of the way through it. And then I go, no, now I have a problem too. And this was no exception. I don't know. Does anybody with me on that?
I totally agree. My favorite though is the video from like where she's in the studio recording I Don't Care, and she's like, it was recorded that one time. It'll never be sung the same again as it was at one time. And then you hear the album, you're like, thank God it'll never be sung the same as that one time, because that's pretty, not the best. I don't care. I care. I don't. That's what I remember.
Does she care or does she not care in a song? Really?
All right. Any other thoughts on Taylor Swift?
It certainly raises Stevie's own profile to be associated with Taylor Swift.
Right.
Oh yeah.
It really brings her into the news.
She's aligning with the current generation.
Well, it's some kind of a coven thing.
All right. Moving on.
What was there something about Clara Bow, or was that the last line of that poem?
No, there's something about there, I think, in the album. Isn't that a theme in the album too?
Yeah.
That was a song called Clara Bow, I think, or at least that's what I've been seeing on my news feeds and everything.
I wonder if they've kept in closer contact through the years than we know about.
Who, Stevie and Taylor?
Yeah, maybe for like marketing, like the opposite of marketing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for strategic brand reasons, they don't reveal the degree to which maybe they have influences on each other, or
maybe Stevie's a mentor.
Not collab. Yeah, some kind of an implicit collaboration or unspoken something.
All right. Well, the next thing we're going to cover, moving on from Taylor Swift, for those that went to Record Store Day, you could get the Rumors picture disc. So if you didn't own Rumors already, in the 12,000 other versions
What's
that's been
Rumors?
released, this is the track list without silver strings.
What?
It's the there's the back cover of the. So did anyone else pick this up, or am I the only loser that buys everything that comes out?
Well, I would if I see it in a store. It's a nice collectible.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
What if they did a picture disc of Street Angel? Would you guys buy that?
Hell yes. What exactly is a picture disc, though?
The album is a picture. Look at. Like
Oh,
this,
so it's just
this is
just
the actual
LP.
record.
Oh no, that's badass. I would buy that if I had the time.
Picture.
It's nice. People put them on the wall sometimes.
Now,
Yeah.
Nick, are you a Stevie Nicks solo fan or more of the Fleetwood Mac Buckingham? Just so I have context.
Primarily Fleetwood Mac and Buckingham. I have Stevie Nicks's Time Space album, so
Okay.
pretty much I know all of her hits, and then I've listened to Belladonna. Maybe I've listened to a few songs on Wild Heart, and I've listened to some songs on Street Angel as well.
Jeremy, a virgin, a near virgin.
Don't listen to Jane, please.
Did you like Street Angel? Because a lot of people are kind of down on that.
I enjoyed some of the songs in the first half. Maybe Love Will Change Your Mind, which was
See?
the single off the album. I enjoy that song quite a bit,
My
actually.
favorite Stevie Nicks song of all time.
Yeah.
Really?
When I went to
a good
Publix the
one.
other day, I was buying a
I
sub.
like
It was on the radio.
River. No,
Oh, Love is Like a River.
Love
Boy,
is like
when
a
that-
river.
When that bridge,
Unconditional Love's a good track.
Unconditional Love.
I love
It's
Kick It.
very like Supremes or something.
And for those that would like to
Unconditional.
hear our discussion, we did like a 2.5 hour discussion on Street Angel on the Phonogenics 101 podcast.
I have
Right.
two things on this, if I may, just real quick,
You
because I'll
may.
forget. Number one is, boy, when that bridge and Maybe Love Will Change Your Mind, where she wants him to be there.
You
and
want me
gets him
to
somewhere.
be
Boy,
there.
that's just one of my favorite bridges. I just like that one a lot.
Show me your lifeline.
That's it.
There's Blue Denim.
Bright eyes.
Just
Blue
type in
Denim.
blue Denim, David Letterman. You see, you know.
And not to
that's
mention Stevie Nicks' crimped hair during the Street Angel
Oh God.
era. Nick's like, I wasn't born yet when she had her crimped hair. You were not even on this earth when Stevie had crimped hair.
No, not yet.
All right. Well, I think I said 4 things. We talked about her tour. We talked about the Taylor Swift poem. And we talked about the picture disc. So the last little thing we're going to talk about before we wrap up the season, what do you guys think is in the future for
boy.
Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks or Lindsay? Do you think there's any, think the band will ever play again? Or do you think with Christine gone, the band's over? Will there ever be a Phonogenics where we talk about a new album? What's everyone's prediction if they could see into the future?
Can I just throw a random observation? Can we there's a connection, I think, between Prince and Sister Honey that we've yet to fully explicate that I'd like to. Is that the right word, Nick? Explicate?
I can't tell you, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Alanis
I think it
Morissette.
works.
We don't have our thesaurus here.
That's all. Jeremy, you said anything goes, so I'm just shooting off at the hip, and that was one that I had on my notes to share with the group here is
Yeah.
Prince, Sister Honey. So I'll be quiet and we can answer your question.
Why do you feel that there's a connection?
Because they sound so similar. They
All right,
sounds like-
baby.
sounds like a Prince outtake. You almost hear Prince doing that little lyric there, couldn't you? And if you don't mind, Jeremy, I also wanted to throw out to the group. I know I just sent the email today, and I don't think everybody here was even on it, but those 3 interviews that I sent out, I think are worth talking about too.
Yeah, please talk about them and why we should watch them.
Well, I sent out 2 interviews with Ken Calais that are on different YouTube channels. And in both of them, it's kind of the same idea where he's talking about Rumors and Tusk and the sessions for those albums and probably promoting, I think he wrote 2 books about each of those albums and probably sort of promoting those books was the reason for the appearances on those podcasts. But they're worth watching because he has all kinds of interesting stories and things. Maybe one will come to me as I'm telling you this next part. Okay, so then the 3rd interview that I think is worth watching, and I sent it all in a link. Let me, or maybe if somebody else has their email, they can look and they can see where it was from because there wasn't a famous name in it. It's 3 guys who started out in college radio and who eventually worked their way up to becoming.
It says Verso Fest
titles.
24.
Verso Fest 24. So VERSO Fest 24. And so it's about an hour-long thing, and it's three guys and a panel and an interviewer. And they talk through, if y'all have ever seen those pictures where Stevie is laying over 1975, so she's laying over a hood of a car and in different poses on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim, you know those. And so, well,
I like
She's wearing
them.
orange. That one.
yes, a lot of orange, a lot of orange. And so
Yes,
those
yes.
pictures were done. I won't tell everything about the podcast. I'll let you guys find it and enjoy hearing the stories from those guys who can tell it better than I can, because it's their story.
Oh, okay.
But it's the tale of that photo shoot and a dinner that happened after that, I think. And it was really interesting to hear their perspective firsthand on how new the band was at that time, and the degree to which the real tight connections between them had been established or not at that point when they were working it out. And where this was in 1975 was before they went out on the 1975 tour.
Oh,
So
wow.
part of this was building up to that. And so it was just fascinating to hear these three guys talk about that whole experience. There was the photo shoot, the dinner, then there was the show itself, which, about 100 people. And then, they kind of, maybe, I don't know why I could tell that they cut some things out. So I was bummed that in the end, they didn't talk more about what happened immediately after the show, but they talked about it and enough to make it interesting. So everybody should watch that Verso Fest 24 thing.
Cool.
It only had about 60 views or something when I watched it. So I was
Sounds like a
surprised
phonogenics episode. Like 60
it
views.
sounds like they need to
Now,
use some hashtags or something.
What was the purpose of the photo shoot?
Well, funny you should thank you, Jim. So I don't know
Yeah.
exactly, but it was an interesting sort of sequence of events that got that car there. And then the other photo shoot that happened on the same day,
Yeah.
according to these guys, was the one where it's the band with the Rolls Royce.
Oh, yeah.
Don't remember that one? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all I can tell you about it. But so those are three
But-
things. There's two
But
full
Stevie
length.
looked like she was on top of a dirt track car. It was super cool. It's just you can see the lettering on the car hood, and it looked like just a local dirt track car. And someone says, "Wait, hey, I want, can I borrow the car for 2 hours?" And then they got, it just works. It's so iconic. It's so unknown to the general public, that photo shoot, but it's there, and there's lots of photos from it.
And Jim, what you said there is pretty close to how it happened. So your instinct is right.
I'm just, the intuition is like, looked like it was very spontaneous, and they probably were just what do you call it, intoxicated with something, and it was loose and it was fun, and it's just,
Were they doing a toot?
things came together, and it just looked like it, and for no damn reason.
All right.
Those Calais interviews were really interesting too. The stuff that he gets into about the technical, the process by which they chose the Sennheiser 441 as the square one, as the square one, as the Stevie mic forever. The process that they went through to come to that decision, for example, was really interesting. And then just to hear the minutia about going in and setting up the different, and I think Richard Dashett was probably pretty instrumental in all this too, although he didn't mention him very much. I don't know that he was, but it seems.
Didn't they kind of have a falling out a little bit?
He was talking about his story, not other people's stories. And so, so hearing all that minutia about, the hot tubs in the in Sausalito B, or outside of Sausalito B, in the porthole window that connected the hot tub to Sausalito B. That was actually a pretty minor thing. So just all really good stuff in all three of those interviews. There's about 3 hours worth that I emailed you guys all, so I know you all enjoyed it.
I mean, there's no future
Okay.
for Fleetwood Mac, but I like to, in the near future, to see more stuff come out of the woodwork from the past, like what Nathan was saying, people coming up with these stories that have been told. Like what I really like to see is the Mirage tour at the UST Festival, because there have been clips that that are online, and where's the whole concert? I mean, they have those. They must have the whole thing.
I heard that some of the footage got lost. Nick, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I believe I have watched some of the Ken Calais videos, and a lot of the points that he discusses are also included in both of his books. He's made a Making of Rumors book. I think that was in 2012, and then he also made a Making of Tusk book in
Yeah.
2019.
I loved him.
He mentioned that he was approached to make a Making of Rumors album, but apparently the process of creating it was very negative for him, as was Tusk. So it doesn't seem very likely that he'll create any sort of documentation on what the process was like. But he has conducted a few interviews where he was talking about how Lindsay and Stevie were babies during the process. I think they had a gourmet chef that would make them whatever they wanted, but they would leave the food at the door and complain about it.
Yeah.
I believe Ken had to order some sort of video system, maybe some VCR, something along those lines to entertain Lindsay and Stevie. But apparently Mick and John, they were more professional, apparently. And Stevie, I think, mentioned the liner notes of Mirage that there weren't any ice cubes at
Oh,
the
yeah.
chateau.
Okay, yeah, that's
That was one of the things that stuck out for her.
Mentioned
And
that.
Christine, I think she was interviewed as well, maybe around the time that the deluxe Mirage album was coming out. And she said that she hardly had any memories of the making of the album. So not much help there, unfortunately. We can maybe connect the dots here and there. I think Ken did some interview on the Penguin around 2000 where he discussed the creation of Hold Me. And apparently the idea of creating the duet was pretty spontaneous. They had the windows open and they created over this hillside. It was pretty beautiful. And I think for Mirage,
I'm sorry,
some of the
what's your source here? Are you Chat GPTing? What is your source here?
I think the source here was the Penguin interview that was conducted in 2000.
Yeah, I've read it before.
Okay.
There were a
'Cause
lot
I
of
don't remember.
Q&A
So,
sessions.
Hold Me
that
was
were-
a demo created spontaneously in an open window with Christine and who?
No, the demo was just Christine, but when they made it into a duet, it was spontaneous.
With who? I'm sorry, with who?
Lindsay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Please
it's-
continue, Nick.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
that's just
No, you're all good. That's pretty much all the details. And I think Lindsay was also approached by a fan. This was included on the ledge. Someone approached him what he remembered about Hold Me, and he said that the song started off relatively slow, so he worked his magic to rearrange it as he's done for pretty much all of the other songs of Christine's and Stevie's for that matter. I know in the liner notes of Tusk, he originally wanted to give Never Make Me Cry more of a beat, but out of deference to McPhee, he opted not to do that. But even so, he essentially took the demo of that song, which was primarily piano, would have been another Songbird, and replaced it with a bunch of guitars. Ken Calais talked about that extensively in the Making of Tusk book. I think there were 9 tracks of arpeggiated guitars with volume swells. It's pretty cool how even with the more minor songs that aren't discussed a lot, he still goes into decent detail on the creation of those songs. So if you're ever curious about maybe the creation of That's Enough for Me, for example, even though in interviews no one discusses the creation of that song in that book, you can learn a lot about it. So I would recommend that book and all the interviews that were mentioned previously.
If
I
I
know
remember
Sarah was
right,
discussed
Noted,
extensively.
noted. And so is this on? This is the Q&A with Dashit or Calais on the ledge?
Kelly.
This is a Q&A with Calais. There were a bunch of Q&As conducted probably up
remember.
until
Yes, I remember.
2006. Brett Tuggle, Neil Haywood. You had Janet Robin, who toured with Lindsey Buckingham in 1993 with his Crazy Band. He had a bunch, I think 3 percussionists, 5 guitarists, a keyboardist. It was pretty cool, but
See,
can you
apparently
chat
it cost
out?
a lot.
Can you send the link out in the chat?
Can I send the link in the chat? I'm not sure if I can access it. Unfortunately, the URL has decayed, so you can access it through the Wayback Machine.
We'll send the link to
So-
that.
I'll
Send the
find it.
URL. Just copy and
Okay,
paste the
yeah.
URL.
If I remember right, the second Ken book, and I read them both, but I feel like the second one was a little misogynist. Like I remember him like really being objectifying women a lot. I don't know if I'm remembering right, but I remember thinking like, man, I'm not liking this book as much as the Rumors book.
The Making of Tusk one?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh.
Ken was doing that a lot during the Making of Rumors too. Some of those parts were a little bit uncomfortable to read. I just like looking at the production end of it as opposed
Yeah.
to all the girls that he was with. It seemed to
What's
be
an
a bit
example?
indulgent.
Where was the misogyny there or whatever?
It's been a while since I read it, but I just remember like I can't remember anything specific. So I'm
I'll
totally
tell you
like
what. Yeah.
I'm totally
Well,
saying
Ken
something.
met
I
his
don't, I
wife
don't have my
there.
sources. So
The making of Tusk one is interesting because it got Hernan Rojas as a co-writer, and he had an affair with Stevie Nicks. So there's a lot of detail about his affair with Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, there is.
oh
Yeah.
Oh, well, isn't that what you bought the book for?
no,
Yeah, of course.
I want to hear about every track used
Production.
in Honey High.
Yeah,
All right.
apparently
Wow,
they're
That's a
recording that
gorgeous
song.
song.
Oh,
That's
go
a
ahead.
gorgeous song.
You
It
know,
is a
one
great
of the
song,
things
yeah.
that was interesting, and I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
I was going to say that in the book they do mention Honey High as well. It was very communal in that they had all their instruments in a circle. For Christine's songs in particular, a lot of them were recorded together as a unit, whereas Lindsay, he took a lot of his songs at
Yeah.
home. Oftentimes he would be cooped up in his studio for even months at a time. He had his own equipment, but I think Ken mentioned that sometimes Lindsay would even take the equipment
They're
from
aware.
Studio D.
Banging on a Kleenex box, being artsy. That
Singing
gave
into
He
him,
the
only did that on
floor.
a few songs, though. Apparently, that was a little bit overblown. Maybe on Tusk he did that, the title track, and I Know I'm Not Wrong. I think those were the songs, and then he did a shoebox
Send us
on
the-
Save Me a
sorry.
Place.
Send us the link. Don't gatekeep.
Oh,
Don't
Don't
gatekeep.
gatekeep.
Send that link.
If I can get your emails, maybe I can send it that way.
Well,
Right
just
now,
put it
I'm
in
on
chat.
my phone.
All right. So, but what about, I've watched speaking of Studio D, Nick, I've watched some tours of Studio D, and you guys familiar with the two different bathrooms that they had there?
I'm
No?
I'm not as
Oh,
familiar. I know they had different studios
well,
with porcelain tiling and whatnot. They had the Hawaiian room, just different
Yes.
acoustics in the room to accommodate for whatever
yes,
acoustics
the
they wanted.
Hawaiian room, I think they called it the Tahiti room, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
I think so. And so they one of the things that they did was they built, obviously, is we all know the history of that. They built it for Fleetwood Mac, and they had a $3 million advance or something, and according to the thing I watched again, about $1 million I think was spent on the construction of that studio space. And they designed it exactly, okay, so it's a bespoke studio. And as part of that, they built, I think, two bathrooms, one which had that classic white subway tile that Nick was just describing, and which might have been, I think, where some of those tracks were laid, where Lindsay did some of that funky.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It was right in that particular bathroom, which was just simply classic, again, white subway tile. Okay, but the other bathroom looks like a miniature version of, it's like if you could take all the opulence of the Taj Mahal and sort of put it inside it, sort of like prolapse it and make it and put it into reverse it into a bathroom, if that makes any kind of sense at all. That's what it looks like in there. It's fucking just jewels and bedecked and bejeweled. Jeremy, to use the phrase from earlier. And so it's worth looking up. There aren't any pictures of it that I can find, so you really have to get deep into the YouTube rabbit holes. It's not like I found it on some, scholarly text or anything like that. It's deep in the YouTube armpit rabbit hole. And so and one guy takes you on, and they actually pop up in the doors, and you can look in regular bathroom, and you can look into supposedly the Stevie bathroom. So Calais says, this is what I'm all working up to here. Calais says that bathroom was made specifically for Stevie. My question is, does that mean that Christine just has to
Go with the
There's a
norm.
men's room.
trough with the guys? And it's not a trough, right? It's a single private bathroom. But that must be. But everywhere I've ever seen it talked about, it's always it's described like that. It's the Stevie bath instead of the girls' bathroom. So I'm confused by that.
or Christine.
I know, right? I know
She's too
Lindsay
busy with
also
Dennis
had-
Wilson or whatever his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, Dennis Wilson, correct. I believe Dennis Wilson, originally the plan was for Dennis Wilson to hook the band up with their manager so they would construct a studio for the band, but that deal fell through. That was through an interview with Ken Calais, I think maybe from 2015 or so. It could have been a little earlier than that. But Lindsay also had his own bathroom where he recorded some of the vocals. He also did some of the vocals for DW Sweet off of his Go Insane album. But I think there's a scene in the Get Tusk book where I think during one of Lindsay's holiday or Halloween parties, Ken needed to use the restrooms, so he opened the door and he's tripping over all these cables because
God.
he has the microphone, he has like some snare drums set up there, and essentially it was unusable due to the fact that he had the bathroom all decked out for spontaneous recording.
And heaven forbid anyone use the Stevie bathroom.
That's funny.
Or Christine had to walk all over all those cables too. You know she did. In her boots. All right. Well, our final topic to discuss before we wrap up season 2 of Phonogenics with the Fleetwood Mac
Jeremy,
family.
you would have appreciated the some of those Kelly interviews because he had several descriptions of Christine moments where she would basically say to somebody else, "What in the hell are you doing?" With the cigarette and the accent and stuff. There were like probably 3 of those across those 2-hour long interviews that I emailed to you guys that you'll appreciate it. But it like made me like her even more. It was cool.
I definitely feel like I am definitely a Christine. I used to think I was a Stevie, but I'm definitely a Christine. But hopefully I'll live longer than she did. How old was Christine? 75?
70. Was she 79?
79,
Yeah, she was 79
yeah.
years old.
Well,
She
that's
was the oldest member of the 5.
That's a nice life. That's a nice life. All right. Well, group, what do you think? Will Buckingham and Nicks ever reunite on the stage for a big cash grab, big tour? Because they are now friends again. Or do you think this band has really reached the end? I know none of us have a crystal ball, but does anyone have a big question? Do you think there'll be? Is there a
think
future?
he reached the end because Stevie doesn't really need Fleetwood. Well, what if Fleetwood Mac was still all there? She doesn't need him. She's a headliner. She pulls in the crowds. Why does she need Lindsey Buckingham?
She's booked through August, or more or less through summer. She's doing Europe.
She's playing stadiums with Billy Joel.
I think Stevie should record alone, a solo. And I think she's probably changed as a person, you know, and as a vocalist, and just because the time between like Shangri-La and In Your Dreams, she changed a lot, and I like to see this 77-year-old Stevie version, and she's still she's a very good vocalist yet, and as a writer, maybe not so much, but songs do come. Like when Christine retired, songs came to her in a big bunch, and she did a record. So for Stevie, maybe that'll come along too. But I don't see Lindsey, unless there's something you guys know that I don't think they've mended anything yet. So, there's people floating around, Stevie and the Heartbreakers getting together. I mean, just internet people, but that would make kind of some sense. They know each other. I mean, that's actually more likely than a Fleetwood Mac so-called reunion. It's more realistic.
Could you see Mick Fleetwood? Couldn't you see Mick Fleetwood coming out on stage during a Stevie show or something though? I feel like that.
Well, there might be some little collaborations, kind of. Oh, Mick and Lindsey get along. They kind of mended their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know that part, but it's you guys did the Buckingham McVie that I missed out on. That was that opportunity about the 5 getting together and doing an album, and that was that moment that didn't happen for whatever reasons. And I think we know a lot of the reasons, but
I think we know the reason. Yes, we do. Yep.
I mean, that was a period where Stevie did In Your Dreams. That was 2011, and I think she toured it, and then she toured it again. Well, then she did 24 Karat in 14, and the Buckingham McVie was 17. And I think she had to tour 24 Karat, and I mean,
then the 24 Karat movie came out.
There was certainly time if there was want to, but there was no want to from one of these members.
All right. Any other thoughts or predictions from the panel?
I could very well see a Mick Fleetwood and Friends sort of performance. I think there was some
good point.
speculation around the time that Mick Fleetwood's place in Maui burned down that he would hold some sort of concert and maybe invite some members of the band, old and new. I know Fleetwood's worked with Billy Burnett on a song maybe last year, perhaps. He's been in contact with Rick Vito a little bit. Like he mentioned, Lindsay and Mick have also mended their relationship to a certain degree. And even Lindsay and Stevie, I think, at Christine's funeral, they were able to convene. I'm not sure if they would
What's
want
your
to talk
source,
to each other
please?
anymore.
But but this you saw
No, please continue. But also, I am curious what your source is. Sorry,
Okay.
Jim, but I didn't want to cut Nick off. Now I have to
I'll
cut two
put
people
it-
off
I'll
to make up for
interject.
cutting one off. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone, for all these seasons cutting people off.
You're all
Will you
good.
please finish what you were saying?
Damn it, Nathan, you son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. Nick, continue. Oh, now he's off. Oh, now he's back.
I am back, yes. So what we know right now is that Lindsay is working on an album, like I mentioned. I believe there was one song from the Buckingham McVie sessions that was unused. This was mentioned on the Legend. I remember reading it too in an article, maybe from Rolling Stone, that McVie had high hopes for this one unreleased song, but they haven't done anything with it since. I'm not sure if Lindsay's the type of person to finish off a song after the other person is deceased and can no longer contribute creatively to it. But that's a possibility. In terms of the other members convening, it's difficult to say. I know the consensus on the Ledge is that they want it to be over. They don't want Stevie and Lindsay to be back together, seeing that, in their opinion, and I'm speaking pretty much for all of them, even though I shouldn't be. From a lot of the more vocal members, they think that Stevie ruined the band's legacy by ejecting him, Irving and Stevie ejecting Lindsay at that point in time when they could have had one final hurrah. So it's difficult to say what they actually will do in the future, but Lindsay will probably continue to make music, probably by 2035. That's a joke, but he takes a while to release music. I think there was a 14-year gap between Out of the Cradle and Under the Skin. Lots of delays there, but it's certainly
Yeah, he wasn't
possible
doing
that he
anything
could have
else.
something. Well, he was recording the Gift of Screws album, but there were a lot of delays, including with the label. I think one of the labels that was set to release it, it was under some sort of regime
He
change in
wasn't
terms of who's
having a
heading it.
family or doing other Fleetwood Mac obligations or anything
The
like
dance,
that.
the dance. They did the
Well,
dance.
yeah, that was one of the other
And having a
reasons he was pulled
family
in to do
and
the
say you
dance.
will. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear exactly. I'm sorry, Nick. I just have to.
A lot of the reasons you mentioned were certainly factors in terms of why the album was pushed back, but the record label, that was another issue where the leader of the record label, I think there was a change, and for whatever reason.
Did anyone else on the Ledge suggest the family part? The fact that he has 3 kids and a marriage and stuff. Did anyone else suggest that? Because I know because you're on the Ledge, right? Which is great because I haven't been there in a long time now. I don't have to go recently, or I don't have to go now. But I bet you no one else suggested that with they selves.
Well, keep in mind that Lindsay right now is in his 70s, and a lot of people at this point probably want to retire. So, I mean, at this age, no one should be under the obligation to keep making music until they die. I mean, artists like Kate Bush,
Well, that is the
pretty much
Faustian bargain he
satisfied.
made. Okay.
Artists like Kate Bush, they've pretty much bowed out gracefully after making their final albums, maybe in their
Well,
late 50s, early 60s.
I
for
hope 50
example.
were. I hope that's not Kate Bush's last album. I loved her last album.
Yeah, it was a good album, but I mean, she's one of those artists, and Lindsay seems to be the same way, where they pretty much make albums when they feel like it and when they're
Yeah.
ready. If they happen to have a lot of material available, then they'll record it, and they may take a long time to get it complete and past the finish line, but you'll come up with a pretty interesting product at the end of the day. And I think Lindsay's a bit of a perfectionist in that regard, so it's unclear when we'll see an album, but he is working on some material. He started doing so early during the pandemic. There was one podcast, I think Soda Jerkers, where he said that he was able to complete 3 songs, maybe get them 9% complete, probably by 2021. But it can be difficult to get that final 10% across the finish line. You do a lot of tweaking here and there, and
Yeah.
then by the end of the day, you come up with 4 different versions of the song that you have to choose from in several different mixes, where it can be difficult to determine which version you like the best.
Well, Alicia, what's your prediction for the future?
And well, yeah, I've been patient and
Oh,
listening
I'm so
to
sorry.
everybody. You had to cut it and make sure you got everybody there, Nathan.
Mute me, please, next time that happens. I'm so sorry. Or someone tell me. I apologize.
Nathan, you're acting like you're being like Stevie's vocals on Everywhere on the Tango in the Night concert video.
Am I doing that?
I want to be with you.
Yeah, well, that's one of her best ad libs of all time. But I won't.
I'm
sorry.
teasing you. I'm teasing you. Alicia.
Yeah. So what would I think? Well, I'm over here listening, and it's more. I think the question is what do you want, and then what is practical? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, what do I want? I would love for Stevie to sit here and to record another album or two, because it sounds like she has quite a few songs in that gothic trunk of hers. So while the stuff, that she's created in the last couple years may not be the greatest, she was, quite prolific when she was younger. And I remember back in Your Dream, she said that she took out a book of poetry, and that's what she handed to Dave Stewart. And that's what helped with a few of those songs. So it makes me wonder if she has another 2 or 3 books of poetry that somebody could, she team up with somebody and help her make that come to fruition. So, I mean, that would be what I would want. Will that happen? I don't know. It seems like Stevie is more thrilled to be out and performing. She's more of a live act sort of person versus going into a studio. So I just don't see that happening. But she also has tons of demos and things like that she could throw together. So
I feel like a album of new Stevie Nicks material would be well received right now. You know what I mean? She's so well liked by so many generations. I feel like marketed the right way, she really could do something. Kind of like,
bro. It's the album America needs. It's the album the world needs.
It's kind of like the later Johnny Cash albums that he made when he was older. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so perfect.
So I'd love to see Stevie do some like elder statesman, like elder states lady, queen, true queen.
Partner.
Well, the other thing that would be awesome, and I know all of us fans are hooping and hollering for it, would be for her to go do Rock a Little and The Other Side of the Mirror, and then go to Street Angel and do these deluxe
eras. Take a page from Taylor, right, Alicia?
I don't know about take a page out of Taylor's, but release the demos and like Rock a Little. She had almost a whole album before. Oh, what was his name? Who did Bella
Jimmy Iovine?
Wild Heart? Huh?
Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah, before he walked out the door, because she was doing all of her partying during that era.
When the album was still called Mirror Mirror.
Yes.
It had a whole different track list.
I would love to hear that. That would be interesting. And they've got it somewhere, but
instead we'll get another live album with like a Dave Matthews cover.
Probably. And then
people at Rhino approached her about doing a Rock a Little box set, except she was the one who wasn't interested for some reason.
Well, probably because for Stevie, I think those albums are tainted. She probably has those albums connected to all the stuff that she went through.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah, I mean, she's made comments that when she sees Rock a Little, she sees her eyes just swimming, and she's
yeah.
Maybe, but isn't it fun to relive glory days sometimes.
Cocaine is bad, okay?
When is she gonna get that attitude? Because I know that, I want, okay.
So
I would like an uncut version of the Rock a Little concert video with all the refilmed close-ups taken out and all the original footage there.
Yeah, I thought she looked fine. I mean, the part where she has the dove in her hand, she looks fine. I mean, why does she have to do all the close-ups? I mean, I think that was the trend in
with a totally different hairstyle, by the way.
Yeah, at that time. Yeah.
I found one time on a deep corner of the internet the original Red Rocks uncut. I don't
Video?
uncut video. Oh yes, sir. And I don't remember. Okay, what wasn't that? It was cutting room floor footage. Some pieces of it that had been scrapped. So it wasn't like you were gonna get the whole, but a really good person who had the right access and equipment could have taken those scraps and put them back in and made a more accurate, complete thing. Okay, but whatever. So it was a certain number, and it wasn't very many. It was like 12 or 15 minutes or something like that. It was not very much footage. Thousands and thousands of dollars in an auction it was about 10,000 is what the asking price was. And I tried to get I passed the tin. Roland, I texted you. I passed around the tin cup. Nobody wanted
here's
it.
my $5. Yeah.
Remember that, Roland? You didn't want to chip in. I don't blame you. It was because
Nathan, if you would have made an OnlyFans, I would have
$3,000 from everybody.
If you would have made that OnlyFans, I would have donated. But what can you say?
So it does exist, and someone has it.
Hey, oh shit! I already forgot what I was gonna say. It had to do with Red Rocks. Oh well. Oh, was 10 minutes of that unreleased footage Waddy doing the introduction to Edge of 17 and them looking around even longer for Stevie to come back out? All right, well, I will do my prediction for the future. I think that we might get a very special, maybe, like Nick said, like a Mick Fleetwood and Friends thing. Like when Stevie and Mick and John reunite on stage for the first time in public since Christine died, it's gonna be a big deal. Maybe it'll be at an awards show. I do think Stevie, wasn't there a rumor she's back in the studio with Dave Stewart?
I think I did hear that, yes.
Yep. So maybe we're getting some new songs or 24 Karat Gold Volume 2, because she still has some. I feel like the best songs have kind of come out. So I feel like if she does a Volume 2, she's kind of scraping more towards like the bottom, There's still some good songs like Forest of the Black Roses, Mistaken
Joan of
Love.
Arc.
Yep, Joan of
that
Arc.
Rhiannon related stuff like Three Birds of Rhiannon, Mistaken Love. I mean, those are great songs. I mean, they should see the light of day.
We could get the Goldfish and the Ladybug book, which she's been threatening for 40 fucking years.
She ought to write her autobiography. She's been saying that since 1983.
Well,
yeah, she has a lot of pet projects.
Yeah, she has a lot of projects.
Her cartoon, her Rhiannon movie.
But this is what we want. What we're going to get is a tour next. This is my prediction. We're going to get a tour next year, and she's going to sing Sable on Blonde in the tour.
Yeah.
And we're all going to go crazy.
And then she'll drop the song after a couple of tours.
Then she'll drop it after a couple of dates. So that's my prediction.
4 dates.
All right. Well, any parting thoughts before we wrap up Season 2 of Phonogenics 101? Dr. Larner, you were not in the office.
Yep. Medical license
revoked.
Not revoked, but under scrutiny.
Under scrutiny. Well, thank you.
I hope he's okay.
I do too. But it was lovely seeing you all. Don't forget me. Send me messages. Stay my friend.
Okay.
I'm taking 4 months off because I have a project that I'm going to be working on for my 50th birthday.
A new album?
I'm working on a project. I'm not announcing any details yet. But for those who are interested, my Road to Bartow album is still available in a physical edition with a lyric book. I still have a few more copies to sell. My limited edition Record Store Day release did sell out. I found an old live album on a CDR and homemade some CDs, and they sold out. So that was cool. But yeah.
Will it be a live album? Congratulations.
Yes, I did. I did cover Dreams on there, and it's terrible. It's absolutely god awful. But I got the licensing for it because that was on the original album. I covered Madonna too, and it's terrible. So just skip past those. But you know, you got to release the stuff that you make.
You should. Okay, can I talk? Can we just have 5 minutes after we
Yeah.
cut here, like usual?
We'll pause. We'll,
I can also, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
And I can also send some of those links to the websites I was talking about too, just so we have more context on some of the events that transpired during the making of Mirage and Tusk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send me your email, then I'll put you in the thread.
You got it. Sounds
We
like
don't-
a plan.
We don't spam too bad. We don't
Okay,
spam
fair
too bad.
enough.
Jim says
That's
not
reassuring.
enough.
Jim says
What?
not enough. Aw. Well, everybody, thank you so much. We've been on 2 seasons together. I talk shit, but I missed Steven. He's one of the family. Nick, I'm so glad you got to join us. Aren't you on vacation with your family somewhere?
That is correct, yes.
Where are you on vacation, or do you not want the world to know where you are?
I will not reveal.
Oh, he's probably in Tampa. He doesn't want me to know he's down the street.
That's it. Probably in Portland. They
Probably
want me
in
to go
Portland.
fucking mess with him for sources or something stupid.
All right. Well, I will
This
keep
was a fun one. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm glad everybody was here. It's nice to see everybody again, new and old alike, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to another season in some number of months, right, Jeremy? Right, JG?
So after I pause, I will do a little bit about what's to come. And much love to everybody. Stevie Nicks getting that studio. Lindsay and Stevie make up so we can get Buckingham Nicks re-released.
That should be done.
That should be done. Lindsay, get Stevie to put a harmony on that song that Christine didn't release so we can have the final Fleetwood Mac song. That could be a monumental occasion, like the one final Fleetwood Mac song. So, we're giving some ideas. But thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to the Patreon donators. And most of all, thank you to my friends for discussing hours and hours and hours of music. We did 12 episodes together this season. We went from the White Album. Well, we finished the Fleetwood Mac Golden Age. We did the 3 Buckingham solos, all the McVie solos, Buckingham Nicks, and Buckingham McVie. And we'll be back for season 3. Bye, everybody.